Hey guys, this is Katie. My husband and I work here on the farm. We have two handsome boys that are growing up quickly. I am usually the one that you will contact or talk to if you call, text, message the farm in any way, and we look forward to hearing from you. Thanks. I've shared that I struggled with a good dose of anxiety and depression as a young adult. It is something I don't discuss often because I don't like looking backwards and it can be embarrassing. I am also terrified that I'll experience it again if I normalize my flaws. But the reality is that the more I talk about it, the less power it has over me. It shows that my inner demons are powerless because I am not afraid of their imagined control over my thoughts and actions. It also allows me the opportunity to show my humanity, the chinks in my armor, and my imperfections. Ironically, as I share my struggles with others, not only does it help them, but it helps me process my thoughts and feelings outside of me. It allows me to see them as separate from me, and that although they do affect me, they are not me. When I've wondered why I deal with mental illness, I can get petty, blame God, and become angry. On the other hand, I've had glimpses of myself without struggle. I quickly become very arrogant and self-centered. No matter how many years I've struggled, I tend to quickly forget my own suffering and wonder why others are still struggling. Then I remember Paul and the thorn in his flesh. Although I cannot begin to compare my struggles to Paul's, I realize that sometimes Christ leaves us with certain scars and struggles as our stamp of humanity. This helps us remember that during our short span on earth, our mission is to be a living example of Christ and his love. When I am on an up in life, I forget my mission, my purpose, and my reason. And I quickly forget who gave me all life and attributes. So I thank him for my struggles because they remind me of my need for his daily guidance. I know that if life was easy, I'd likely not seek his guidance and gradually slide back into the abyss of depression and isolation, because I wouldn't see a need for the people around me either. So my struggles guide me, they direct me, and they give me purpose among fellow warriors fighting to keep his light shining for all men to see him on earth. As he commands in Matthew chapter 5, verse 16. Let your light so shine before men that they may see your good works and glorify your Father which is in heaven. For he wouldn't give us struggle without a reason. He is a loving Father that wants to tell us, well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. Like any loving parent, he will give us what we need to succeed. If you are struggling to hold on to the peace that Christ promises, find one person you trust. Find one person that you know will respect your privacy and not shame you for having flaws. Discuss your fears, your worries, and how you want to change. I think you'll be surprised that even if they do not know what to do, they can at least be a shoulder to cry on and walk forward with. You may even realize they have fears as well. I leave you with Christ's response to Paul, asking that the thorn in his flesh be removed. Paul concluded that he'd rather have Christ than to live without the thorn in his flesh. And he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you, for my strength is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, most gladly I will rather boast in my infirmities, that the power of Christ may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, and reproaches, in needs, and persecutions, and distresses for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. 2 Corinthians chapter 12, verses 9 and 10. As always, we pray that you continue your walk with Christ at your side, and let us know when you need encouragement.
like that. I like it because it's really courageous. It's courageous anytime we can look and say, hey, my weaknesses do not determine who I am. And fact is, they sometimes determine what I need to have in my life to succeed. I think they temper us sometimes. You know, the verse you said, when I am weak, then I am strong. I don't think we take that to heart as much as we should. Because when we go, when I'm weak, I'm miserable, I'm horrible, I'm weak, oh my God, I'm so weak. But if we take the verse, when I am weak, then I'm strong. What do you think that means, when I'm weak, then I'm strong?
I don't know. The funny thing is the first time I saw that verse, it wasn't in the Bible, like someone had written it. And I was like, oh, that's funny. It was a typo. So, of course, I looked it up in the Bible, and I was like, oh, it's right. That she wrote it correctly. So, yeah, that's funny because my first experience with the verse was not, oh, that makes a lot of sense to me. But as I put it into perspective with my struggles, I think the more I embrace my weaknesses and my flaws, I have strength because I know it's not me that gives me the strength. It's not me that makes me. I guess because my confidence goes into something else, not me. And so
maybe your confidence goes into Christ is going to come and strengthen me.
Okay, yeah.
Because then, I mean, how else does he pair up with us?
Yeah, if we don't need help.
Yeah, we don't need him. Where's he going to be? I mean, sometimes I think of all the heroes in the Bible, and I think of Christ, and suddenly, I know it sounds like blasphemy, but I'm like, well, Jesus, you weren't a hero. Because look in the Garden of Gethsemane, you sweat at the thought of your death as great drops of blood fell from your head. The anguish you went through, the near thought of dying. Well, you weren't a hero, you weren't brave. And then I thought, well, I'm so glad he wasn't. Because then where would I be?
Yeah.
I wouldn't even be able to cling on to anything. I mean, we make a hero out of David and Goliath, but I'm not thinking I relate much to David, but I do relate many times to Jesus going, man, that's going to be a tough road, but I know God brought me here, so by his will I'll do it. So how do you think we can reach out to him and make that connection and not be ashamed of it? I mean, by saying, look, Lord, you made me weak. I mean, you didn't do it. I didn't do it.
Yeah.
I was born with basically out of a father who abandoned me. I couldn't have done that. All my life, I was like, oh, if I can only find a father that I look like, how wonderful, I'd be complete. So I always felt incomplete. Something was wrong with me because you're not normal. You don't have a real father. So how do we get beyond that? With Jesus, not with other people, just with Jesus.
Oh, yeah. Well, I don't know, because my first thought was, for me anyway, it was like, I don't know, it was almost like admitting it and like saying it out loud, because I think one of Satan's best tools is telling us we're not normal, telling us we're different, telling us things that are shameful, so that we do live in that isolation and we don't rely on other Christians or Christ. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. So I guess admitting it and reaching out, and like I said, I mean, obviously not everyone is going to be a great someone to share, to be a confidant, but if you find someone, cling to them, and of course through Christ. But yeah,
I think the people who reject have rejected themselves, and they can't accept because they can't accept themselves.
And unfortunately, that becomes their perception of God, and because they believe the lies, and they can't look past it and go, oh no. I've only accepted the lies of Satan, but not the truth beyond it. But yeah.
I think one of the most insidious lies of Satan, I believe, is Satan convinced me early on in life that if my mantra was this: if you really knew me, you would not like me. If you really knew me, you would hate me. If you really knew what was on the inside of me, you would despise me and reject me. And I think that is such a contrary thing to the Lord, the Lord says, I'm your shepherd. I know you.
Yeah.
I know you. I made you. Of course I know you.
I knew you before you were
yeah,
formed.
I made you before you were formed.
Yeah.
I did it anyway.
Yes.
I didn't reject you.
Yeah.
Send you back to the baby factory for improvements. So I think that's such a key, is to say, if you find fault with me, take it up with the Lord.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
God made me. I didn't make myself. So, and I am just with what I have.
Right. I'm not coming at you with perfection, but
Yeah.
I am here and I'm okay.
Yeah, and I didn't do it. I just live with God's grace that is sufficient.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that message really breaks into people if they can hear it, if they can know it, that it really means God loves me just the way I am, because He's really responsible for the way I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
And He's not really going, I reject you. Now He's going to say, you know what? I can make that thorn in your flesh actually be full of grace and mercy. Actually, I think the thorn in our flesh becomes our pivotal point of ministry. Mm-hmm. Because what do I have to say if I cannot say I've overcome?
Right. Yeah. If I've never struggled, if I've had no flaws, if I walk as a maverick on my own, I don't need people either. It's not that I don't need God. I don't need anyone.
No, I don't need anyone. I can be alone by myself.
Yeah, miserable.
But never tell anybody.
Yeah, but nobody knows. I can hide and make everyone around me miserable and me miserable. But
yes.
Yeah.
Katie, I think that is a great message that has to go out, that has to be heard, because so many people lie. I was a therapist for 30 years, family marriage therapist and individual, and that has got to be the lesson that goes out to people, because that, you shall know the truth, just like you spoke it, like you write it. The truth shall set you free. Mm-hmm. You can't set yourself free, but knowing the truth, it in itself will set you free.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So. Well, I was also thinking of, if He's that loving Father, if you've ever been a parent or responsible for anyone else, you can reach out, but if the reciprocation's not there, I guess even with a peer, if the reciprocation's not there, he's gonna be there. Oh, he'll be the same yesterday, today, and forever. Mm-hmm. But he can't go to your darkness. He can overlook it if you're reaching towards Him, but He can't go there. He can't enable you.
Yeah.
But He'll be there to walk with you out of it.
Yeah. Yeah, He will. And I believe if you're sincere, God will send you someone that is credible in your life. If you seek. Mm-hmm. If you seek it, we can't go, but seek it. Mm-hmm. Hey, I think that's dynamic, Katie. I think that should be a subject you should write on, because I think a lot of people are right there and need to hear it. And, sometimes at first people may not, I know when I was counseling, first thing that people were like, it's not me, or I'm undone, I can't do anything. And I'm like, no, you really can't. If you seek, God will be there. We've got to believe that. So, thanks so much, Kate.
You're welcome. Thank you.
For reality. Bye, hon.
Bye.
Hey y'all, thanks for joining us for Around the Supper Table. At Sanctuary Family Farms, we want to be real. Whether that's through our blogs, daily verses, or even Nana's recipes, we want to share the messages that God has laid on each of our hearts. If you liked what you heard today or want to get in touch with us, you can find us on Facebook and YouTube at Sanctuary Family Farms, or our website at www.sanctuaryfamilyfarms.com, where we share our recipes and blogs and sell farm fresh beef and pork. We can't wait for you to join us again for next week's episode.